Hi and welcome to Groups number 6 Java project. This is a Pokemon style game where the player can walk around, fight monsters, unlock new items, unlock new moves, unlock new loadouts, and the point of the game is to level your character up and being able to beat all the encounters. So if we have a quick demonstration of the game, we load in this file or this scene where we draw a circle, which is the player, who has a few hitboxes right now and can be controlled by the keys or A, W, S, and D. So the house would be a hitbox, and that's pretty much it for the hitboxes right now. They are currently being worked on by Michelle. If we are looking into the encounters instead, we have these zones, these red zones, and if we would enter zone number 1, we would face an encounter where the player has a current HP, a max HP, and a HP bar, which is updating right now, dependent on what the actual values are. So we have these options right here, such as fight. So we press it. We can press it with the keyboard and spacebar, or the keys and the spacebar, and it would run a fight method. The loadout would run the loadout method, and the bag would run the bag method. And the run is the only one that is complete right now, so it has a 50% chance of you escaping. So if we try it, we were unable to escape. If we try it again, we were able to escape. As you can see, the encounter level were pretty low. It's level 3, which is to be expected in the first zone. And if we run to the highest enemy zone, which is zone number 3, we would have a much higher number, which the enemy would have much better stats and other stuff to it as well, such as resistances, armor, or items themselves. So how does this game work? We have a run method, and in the run method we have a while loop. So while running, we have this if, and the if updates the game, which comes from the class graphics in a method called frame, and it only does so when delta is above or equal to 1. And down here we have a tick and a frame counter, which we can quickly demonstrate, which would give us some insane numbers and a pretty steady tick right now. So if we take that away, we can go to the graphics, which is being called here by this graphics main stage method, or no, this get method. And the heavy graphics is done in the class graphics, which has us loading. It loads 2 different routes, and if they would fail, they would give us this custom message, and it also draws the player, and it sets up the dimension of the windows. It has this frame, which we saw was coming from here, or it being called in here, and it updates with the game. However, we have this run later, which is actually switching between the combat and the overworld, and when it's in the combat, it would stop that loop and it would only do this, and once it goes here, it will go back to running this while loop again. So kind of halts it for a little bit. We also call we've created an objects up here, a few objects, and we call a few methods related to those objects in here too, in this frame, such as position and move and all of this. And if we go to the player where they actually come from, we can see that we have these methods here where we set speeds to the players. We actually set speed to the player on key press, and not we don't do the math in here. We just give him a speed, because how keyboards work is, it will, if I open Notebook right here or Notepad, and if I press A, it would give me 1A, and then it would pause, and then it would give me the rest. So it would be very choppy. Therefore, we just change the value when the key is down, and therefore it would be much smoother. We have this wall method, which is where the player has his hitboxes. This is would be the house, for example, and this would be the different zones for the encounters. So the map itself, if we open it up again, has a few little things to click here. So right now you could choose between close, save and close, and load, where you would close the actual game, you would save the game, you would save and then close it, or you could load your save file, and here you would have a little window popping up later where you would have a little guide on what buttons do what. Currently close is the only one that actually does something right now. So if we close it, it closes the game. And that is being controlled in the map controller. So here we have the different functions. So as we saw, this closes the window. This would later call or maybe switch to another scene on how to play the game and give you a little tutorial. And then we have these functions that are not completed yet. So for the next controller, we have the battle controller, which is much more advanced than the other controller, since it needs to do much more advanced stuff, such as binding the labels to the player's maximum HP and current HP, and it needs to do some math on the progression bar. It also needs to do certain things when the buttons are pressed, and they are going to involve much more mathematics, and they're going to be calling other functions. The game knows how to switch, as we saw earlier with the Boolean, where if it would be true, we would load the battle, and if it would be false, we would load the overworld. So that is pretty much what I did so far on this project. Mi Xiao, he is supposed to complete, this method right here, and Yorbi, he's supposed to complete this load and save file, where you would yes, this is a little note I made. You would save the player's HP and coordinates and stuff like that into a text file, and then it would be read back in here and change the values. So what is the future of this project? We will implement a welcome screen where the player can start a new game, load its current game, or the developers can log in with a little password, and that password or that option would give the developers more benefits, and then they could try to do some testing of stuff that we implement later, such as new items, the ability to to use the shop over here, right here. So we can test all of that. We can give ourselves currency. We can give ourselves more stats if we would like. And we would also have to complete, as I said, the different moves, the different loadouts, different items, the currency system, and the interface of interacting with the shop. And we would also have to make some graphical improvements to the battle controller, or battle scene, I mean. So it would draw a enemy dependent on its level, and it would be different shapes, different colors, and that would be it for group number 6.